Coming up on today's wrestling news, we've got worrying news about Bryan Danielson.
WWE star has confirmed his departure.
There's an update on Meiko Satomura's secretive WWE absence.
And an AEW star has made his strange return.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
I'm Michael Sidgwick.
And this is the news. I love Dadley news.
Dadley news.
We're going to start with the Dadley favourite, Bryan Danielson. Although the news is not amazing. We've got a report that Bryan Danielson is headed towards the end of his full-time wrestling run. Obviously, that's been part of his story about leaving AEW and the big match coming up at Wembley, all that. But Fightful Select have come through to say that he may have had to do this anyway. He was speaking, they've sort of followed up on a YouTube interview that he did with Renee Paquette, and in that interview, Danielson had mentioned that Doc Samson didn't want him to wrestle at all until AEW All In, and Sean Ross Sapp had followed up to say that this isn't actually a work. Quote, there had been some heavy restrictions put on him by AEW doctors leading into the main event of All In, and sources confirmed to Fightful Select that, quote, Danielson was beat up as one would expect, however the plan has long been for him to get in the main event of All In, though they prevented him from participating in some things that were originally planned along the way. Obviously we had to have the Owen Hart tournament to get him into the match. They've added at the bottom, as one would expect, Danielson is well liked as a talent, contributor and creative as a backstage presence. So yeah, it's interesting to get some facts now behind this fiction because it's Danielson. This is a man that has admitted how much he likes lying. Yeah. Cody Rhodes taught him to lie, the work, and wrestlers in general tease out of retirement, then go on and come out of retirement and wrestle and whatnot and whatnot. But maybe there is a bit more smoke to this fire and Wembley could be as much a swan song as is big. The main event we've long waited for him to have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult to take anything a professional wrestler says seriously, much less Bryan Danielson of, as Hamflett points out, I love lying. Cody Rhodes taught me how to lie. And as well, this has been heavily fictionalised throughout his recent character arc. He's been selling having a lack of feeling in his arm in certain matches of late. Brilliant ones at that. Like, Danielson's such a genius that the more he limits itself, the more he sort of creates excellent, absorbing, compelling, genuinely quite frightening work. Look, Sean Ross Sapp is very, very reputable. I don't think he'd be easily worked by something like this. So it is, in fact, quite worrying. It's one of those things where if this arc wasn't in place already, if Danielson hadn't already said, you know, I plan on retiring, you know, he wants to spend a lot of time with his young family, he wants to transition into a part-time wrestling role. He often used to say that, you know, he wanted to wrestle until he was 70 years old. That looks like it's not happening, but it's wrestling. Never say never. One can only hope that he goes out with an absolute bang against Swerve Strickland. There's that Seattle show coming up as well, so who knows, he maybe will do one more. But again, you know, his selling is so great. Does he have to do much of it? We will absolutely see. Second news item today, in a weird sort of show last night, Bloodsport, which is wild in terms of its AEW and WWE contingent, all for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. As was reported again by Sean Ross Sapp last week, MVP arrived, confirmed that his contract is winding down with his former employer, didn't specify, but it's obviously WWE. He says he's not going back, and he challenged Josh Barnett for Bloodsport 11. MVP also revealed to, you know, establish his credentials for this worked shoot promotion that he's recently acquired his black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. So that'll be an interesting match. Certainly a very strange match graphic, but one I'm not into whatsoever. Time will tell if MVP has in fact done effed up now. Use Josh Barnett's infamous turn of phrase.
Yeah, Josh Barnett will love this for Bloodsport, won't he? Because it's become, in more ways than one, the real shoot forbidden door of pro wrestling.
Yes,
Barnett,
yes.
Like, obviously there was the kind of famous / infamous pictures of Nick Khan, of all people, backstage at the WrestleMania weekend one that had Shayna Baszler and then loaded with WWE talent that had gone to support her. That's just stretched out to the shows themselves now with Shayna and the Creeds and everybody from, you know, sort of a current TNA title holder in Speedball Mike Bailey to, as you say, like AEW presence, and generally this good relationship that Barnett seems to have with all promoters that allows for them to step into something that's still worked. It's still a pro wrestling environment, no matter what it presents itself as. MVP as well has often, I think, wanted to be considered credible in this sort of field as well. Yeah, he had that brief New Japan run. He told me the Intercontinental title was based around having MVP, and he wanted to be taken seriously as a wrestler, which was one of the multitude of problems he had, obviously, with WWE as he prepares to exit that. So I think we can expect Bloodsport to continue to be newsworthy, and it's great for Josh Barnett and GCW and everybody that puts these shows together. It makes you wonder as well, what WWE's continued involvement will be in this sort of thing, because it was suspicious enough that they were swimming around it over the Philadelphia one, but now that this has continued into like the standard run of things, are they still looking to gobble that up, or they were just letting the wrestlers have their nice days? It's just unusual from them to do that without there being an ulterior motive, isn't it?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, you're Dr. Fed. I'm usually the cynical one.
It's a surprise for me, you know.
I might just let you just sort of hang out there. Julius Creed got raves, absolute raves for his performance. So I'm definitely going to check that out at lunchtime, I think.
Another WWE hard hitter is Meiko Satomura. She is sadly not working a blood sport. I would love to see that. Yeah. But it looks like she won't be working much at all. And we have news, but not news, really, on exactly where she's been. It was obviously 2023. It was the Roadblock NXT special back in March of last year, where we last saw Meiko Satomura wrestle. She'd done stuff in 2022, unifying titles and things like that, but it was all on the losing end. And since then, Corey Brennan's come through with a long report on Fight for Select, which we'll not aggregate all of. We're not complete thieves, but there's some good details here from Corey noting that Meiko and select higher-ups within WWE were aware of her absence, but talent within NXT weren't necessarily aware of it. There were some that were believed that she was looking for a way out of her contract. But the report goes on to mention that they have not heard if Meiko will be used again on WWE television before she retires. And obviously she's earlier, I think we reported yesterday, Pollard covered that she intends to retire early next year. Yeah. She wrestled a match against Bayley on WWE's Tour of Tokyo that I guess may make its way to WWE's YouTube or online channels, because there's obviously a lot
There's already a handheld version if you look hard enough.
It's one of the matches that's got a little bit of buzz around it. So they might bring her back in around WrestleMania season, possibly their Hall of Fame, since she's been on the books. But certainly it doesn't appear as if there's going to be anything more for her within her world, in her like the NXT bubble that she previously occupied.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a shame, really, in retrospect, now that this decision has been made to retire, that WWE didn't really do a great deal with Satomura as like sort of a living legend figure. They haven't promoted her to that level at all. She's sort of been tucked away in NXT and on the undercard, and I think she had that program with Roxanne Perez, where they did genuinely quite a good job of building Satomura as the living legend. Not that it requires much build. All you need to do is send some footage to that Maverick video department, create their magic with Satomura's magic, and then more magic will be yielded from there. Will be cast, if you like. So it feels like a bit of a struggle from now to establish Satomura as this living legend that she is to the WWE main roster audience. So cynical old me believes it's probably too late to squeeze some juice from that fruit. I don't know why I talked like that at the end. It's Monday morning, I'm quite tired.
Speaking of squeezing juice out of fruit though, Sidge, we still, somehow, by an absolute miracle, have tickets available for that right there.
Yes.
Our What Culture live show.
Honestly, we're chuffed with the turnout. If you want to come along, it'll be great. You might want to hurry up.
Yeah, whatculture.com/tickets. 12 till 1:30. I've been sort of pitching it the last couple of weeks. Look, if you just want a pub near Wembley, the Crystal Club is 2 minutes away. Yeah. You don't even need to listen to us. Just get there, put your AirPods in, like listen to one of our podcasts or something like that. Yeah. But it's 20 quid. It's super cheap. You can get Simon Miller's Ups and Downs foam fingers. You can get T-shirts with that print on, with any of our faces on. And then we can all walk over and convoy together over to Wembley, the perfect location. And then afterwards as well, we'll be partnering with Sweet Chin Disco. So immediately after All In, get outside, go and see Miller or Wilborn recording some of the best videos we do here at What Culture. And then again, 2 minutes back to the Crystal Club, Sweet Chin Disco. Check out all their socials. There'll be Prince Nana, there'll be Max Caster, and our very own Adam Wilborn will somehow be getting top billing amongst those two.
Yeah.
On stage. I don't know, trying to hang with them, maybe, or something like that. You kind of want to see that, don't you? So get onto Sweet Chin Disco socials.
He's got a humiliation fetish, so let's see how that works out for him. So the last story of the day, this is quite a weird one when I read it overnight. Sammy Guevara has returned to the Converse, but at the ROH tapings that were held in the Esports Center in Arlington, Texas, the angle essentially is that Dustin Rhodes, who's got a lot of history with Guevara, they've had a couple of TV matches across late 2019 and early 2020. They fought for the interim TNT title as well, I believe, on the inaugural Battle of the Belts when we saw that goated Canadian destroyer through the table. So they've got some great chemistry, they've got some great history, and now they've got a great bond. Maybe because Dustin Rhodes is getting his ass kicked by the Dark Order, and Sammy Guevara on ROH saved him. That's an incredibly interesting storyline development, and I'm telling you, I just didn't know how they were going to bring Sammy Guevara back, but given that he's a former TNT champion, given that he's semi-mained an AEW pay-per-view challenging for that world title, given that, like 5 years ago when he was having that program with with Darby Allin, everyone thought, all right, okay, that's what an AEW pay-per-view looks like in 2 years, before they signed everyone. And maybe Darby got a bit more over than Sammy, if I'm being frank. Very, very strange. Does this, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Hamflet. Is this? I'm not right. I have to be careful here, because I would if I'm a wrestler and I get to work with Dustin Rhodes, I'd be delighted. I think he's incredible. But it's the ROH aspect. How does this sit for you? Is it a way to elevate ROH amid conversations that there's a potential True TV deal or an attempt to get ROH on TV? Is this using Sammy to elevate that, or is this sort of a Sammy, you've had more than one problem in your AEW past. You're not going to get the big star treatment. Maybe you have to work your way back up a bit. So I'll put you on the spot.
Sidge, why not both? Tony Khan has got a roster.
Got splinters in your arse.
About 100 gazillion.
Sitting on that fence, have you?
100 gazillion wrestlers, just as many ideas, and nearly as many TV shows. This is maybe the way to satisfy every party here. Sammy Guevara is a controversial figure, obviously, but also there was reports recently about, I think the word was ambitious creative plans, and maybe this is part of that. An AEW mainstay, wrestled in the very first episode of Dynamite, tied to Chris Jericho, who himself has been, an AEW mainstay since the very beginning, and now what's seen as dropping down to Ring of Honor, but maybe this is a test of his talent. Can he elevate that brand? Like we're talking about it as a new story in Ring of Honor, so rarely penetrates the discourse. Dustin Rhodes, a champion now in Ring of Honor.
Yes.
The Trios title, so maybe this is a wider strategic move to sort of move the wrestlers around a little bit in line with this TV deal. There was, whether or not Tony Khan misspoke or not, there was discussion over the weekend, was there not, of Ring of Honor being called AEW Ring of Honor in the same way you get WWE NXT. It's all that attempt to elevate that brand. There was discussion just before the pay-per-view about time to take a bit more care and make some changes within ROH, and maybe this Sammy Guevara is going to be the first of many that we see. It's it wouldn't be the worst thing to have that Collision Rampage rotation drop down a little bit and make space then for some potential Ring of Honor promotions. Who knows? Could be the start. It's
let us know in the comments. Buried or ace figure?
If nothing else, if Eddie Kingston decides to take a trip back, there's immediate heat there.
Absolutely.
So we can have a look at that.
And the officiating will get tightened up after they have a match.
Absolutely, for sure. And if and if you want to have a look at more videos with insights just as biting and as analytical as this, you can check one out right here. And we will see you soon.